Hari Om. Hope and pray all of you are doing well. In today's nugget of wisdom, I was reading through one such amazing statement, Upanishadic statement, the way Gurudev presents it, that suddenly we jump up in our seat and said, "What? Say that again?" Because it sounds counterintuitive, it sounds contradictory, it sounds eye popping. These kinds of statements are often made by the Upanishads to catch the attention of our intellect, our buddhi, so that it can do the justice to that beautiful statement which is being made. So let's see what that statement is. In Sanatana Dharma, we do not believe that God exists, but we believe that God alone exists, and anything else which we call as world is nothing but a mere projection on that God or Parabrahma Tattva, which is in essence the reality. So the moment you hear that we do not believe in the statement that God exists, so one has to now put an effort to understand basically three aspects of it. What does it mean when we say God exists? What does it mean when we say God alone exists? And what does it mean when we say that everything else is just a mere projection on that reality which we call as Parabrahma Tattva or God? So in Sanatana Dharma, we have the classification of our scriptures or the Shastra into the following aspects. Veda, which have four integral again subdivisions: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda and Atharva Veda. Within each Veda, each part of this Veda, there are again further classifications: Mantra, Brahmana, Aranyaka and Upanishad. This statement comes in the Upanishadic text. We will look into that Upanishadic text as well. Specifically, we will be looking into the Taittiriya Upanishad and Brahmananda Valli. So we will look into that at that time. So the Sanatana Dharma, through its Vedic literature, it says that we do not believe that God exists, but we believe that God alone exists. Now it's certainly something which kind of shakes our very core of understanding. What does Gurudev mean when he says that we do not believe God exists? I exist, you exist, the world exists, world of things, beings, and the interaction between them, all this exists. So too God also exists. वो भी है और वो भी can be experienced. So when you make that kind of a statement that God exists, it is like anything else that exists. It almost feels like when you are reading the constitution or the bylaws or anything to do with judicial system, we take a microscope and start peeling through every single word, its placement, its utility, what it could mean, what it could not mean, why did it mean what it meant, why would it not mean what it did not. There are so many permutations in which we look into those aspects. Similarly, here, when we say that that which we call as God or as the Parabrahma Paramatma, that Parabrahma Paramatma exists not just merely as everything else that which exists, but the profoundness of the statement is God alone exists. When we look at the experience as the experiencer, I see the world, I see the people, beings, and my interaction with that Jagat, the world. So, in this context, where does God, where does that Paramatma, Parabrahma Tattva fit in? So, the scriptures, the Taittiriyopanishad, Brahmananda Valli, the sixth Anuvaka, first mantra. So kamayata bahusyam praja yeti satapotapyata satapastaptva idagam sarvamasrajata yadidam kincha tatsrishtva tadevanupravishat tadevanupravishat tadanupravishya satchatyaccha bhavat. स एकः. So he always exists. He, that Parabrahma Tattva, always exists. Now where does it say that it is he? Saha akamayata. The moment he recognized his, as the Ishvara recognized his potential of Ichha Jnana Kriya Shakti, the sequence of this Ichha Jnana Kriya Shakti is also very particular and specific. The difference between us, the individuality, the Jivatva, and Ishwaratva is this sequential order. In with regards to the Ishvara, it is called the sequential order. In regards with us, it is called the sequential disorder. When we say Ishvara, Ishvara has Ichha Jnana Kriya Shakti. As soon as there is the recognition of Ichha Shakti, what did he do? He puts the effort to realize the potential, find the method and means, perfect those methods and means, and then starts executing it in the field of action. Whereas us as Jiva, as soon as there is a desire, we jump into action, and our knowledge is a posthumous reality, after effect. So as soon as he recognized his potential, saha akamayata bahusyam praja yeti, that this intense desire to let me be many, let me express as many. What did he immediately do? Satapotapyata satapastaptva. He performed penance. That Ishvara performed penance, and satapastaptva, having performed, idagam sarvam asrajata, he created this multitude. How did he do that? As a mere thought projection. He projected this world and its entirety of its multitude. Yadidam kincha. Yadidam kincha. Everything that which you see and don't see. Tatsrishtva, having thus creating it, he entered and became one with that which he created. Tat srishtva tadevanupravishata pravishata tadanupravishya sat cha tyaccha bhavat satyatyacha bhavat. That which exists meaning that which is um, manifest, which can be seen, which can be experienced, and that which cannot be seen and that which cannot be experienced. Both aspects of this creation, both multitudes of it, he expressed, he became one with it. So he exists, he expands himself into this creation. Having thus expanded, he is one with that creation, and the entire multitude is nothing but that substratum alone. That which we are experiencing, seeing, and interacting with, this entire multitude, can be experienced only if it is a mere projection on that reality. If it is actually created and not a projection, then we will have to go into the various siddhantas trying to prove that there is a creation. In the entire Vedic literature, the effort of the rishis, the effort of the Vedic literature is not to prove that the creation exists, but to prove that I, the conscious principle, is the very center, the hub of this creation, and that is the reality onto which this creation is projected, beyond which the reality of it cannot be explained or sustained. Like Gaudapadacharya ji in his Karika, he says, why should I prove or disprove about creation? It is those that vehemently believe that there is a creation, the onus is on them to prove that there is a creation. For the rest of us, the creation is nothing but a mere projection of that Parabrahm Paramatma unto itself by itself. So, what is realizing that God alone exists? That in and through everything that which is projected, just like in a dream, my mind projects various aspects, both the sentient and the insentient, that which has the spark of life and that which seems like not having the spark of life. The interaction between all of this in that projection called a dream is nothing but my own mind, which is behaving, acting, and living like that which is being created. So there is no sequentiality to it, wherein we say first there was inanimate created, then animate created, then there was an interaction, there was day 1, day 2, day 3, day 5, day 6, and then there is a moment of rest. Nothing of that sort, but it was a vispota. The entire creation came into being, just like in the dream, the mind projects everything simultaneously. And once I wake up, the entire thing that was projected has been reduced or withdrawn back into my own self, because the mind now has become awakened. Similarly, from this, that which I call as the waking world, when I am awakened to the experience of reality as my own substratum, that which is recognized as Brahman is verily the substratum here, the core of my own being, and unto that everything else that which I see is just a mere projection. And in this understanding, those who are still attached, attracted, and drawn into this world as worldliness, as samsari, out of compassion, the gurus come to us to illumine this fact that that which you are running after cannot provide sense of satisfaction, sense of security, sense of peace, sense of joy, because it is just a mere projection. And in that projection, the system of a disciplined sadhaka's life, value based sadhaka's life, with morals, ethics, where we transform these values into virtues, is a necessity so that the mind comes to that ripened state. Our own mind comes to that ripened state from where looking at the world not as a problem but as a projection. Therefore, when I am interacting with it, the compassion and love, because they say that love towards the self is the highest form, and that which I see as the world is nothing but a mere extension, expansion, and an expression of that Paramatma which essentially I am. Thereby, love and compassion becomes the very way in which it expresses. It cannot express any other way. Thereby, when I reach across to any aspect of this creation from this understanding, it is from this standpoint where it is Loka Sangraha only, for the welfare of the society and for the well-being of the society, so that they can reach to this essence which makes it the very purpose of our human life and endeavor. So when we say God alone exists as I, the reality, onto which all this is just a projection. Thereby, I am neither distracted by it nor attracted by it. I am merely playing with it as my own dream sequence. Now, to understand this, to abide in it, is the rest of the sadhana. Therefore, sadhana should not be neglected because it is mere projection. It is that mature mind which will try understanding it and abiding in it only when the paripaka, the ripening of that mind through this understanding, has reached to that state, not otherwise. So what do we meditate upon? Is this aspect that God alone exists and I am invariably that essence, and onto this is the projection of the entire creation or the world. Therefore, where should my focus be? My focus comes back, makes a U-turn, and abides in the self. When Gangaji is flowing down from north to the southeastern side, there are points where in its flow it makes a U-turn, like it turns towards itself, from towards its own source. Wherever it has turned towards its own source, like it happens in Varanasi, it is also known as Kashi, it happens in Gupta Kashi, it happens in Uttar Kashi. All these places are called Kashi. Why is it called Kashi? Kasha means to illumine the source. Therefore, that place where Gangaji turns towards her own source becomes a center of immense potentiality, immense strength and vibration, being where our minds can also turn towards its source, which is Prakasha. Again, the root word Kasha, to illumine. That Prakasha, Swayam Prakasha Swarupa, which is essentially my true nature. God alone exists, and God alone exists is experienced as I the self, and unto this the rest of the world is a mere projection, is the realization of the realized masters. Hope we understand this and align our sadhana to reach to this state. Until next time, take care. Hari Om.